things ought to be, and we're gonna broadcast these separately. So here's the deal: we have a presidential election going on, and I've been saying this for the last 8 or 9 years. I don't think that we should have the presidency be a 2-term option. Okay. I don't think the president of the United States of America should ever run for re-election. I think we should have 1 term and make it 4 years, 5 years, 6 years if we want, and then no re-election. If we're going to have term limits, which we've decided long ago in this country that someone can't just keep being president forever, there's going to be a limit to how many times they can go. I think that limit needs to be 1. And here's why. It hurts the collective psyche of this country to have your presidents try to be the presidents for everyone, and then for 9 months become only the president for the people who are going to vote for him. And in the morning have to act presidential, and in the afternoon go on the campaign trail and say those people are the problem. It doesn't help. It doesn't work. And we're already, let's say President Obama wins this election, which I hope that he does. Let's say he wins this election. Then the next 4 years, he's going to serve as someone who's not running for re-election.
Right.
So we already know what it will be like if someone doesn't run for re-election and is president.
Yes.
And that would be much better. Now, there's going to be a pushback. There's people who say, yeah, but then he's going to do whatever he wants, and you're not going to be able to throw him out. No, you would never throw the president out. You vote for him. They're president for 5 years or for 6 years, and then somebody else. And I also think that when a person becomes the president of the United States, they should let go of their political posturing. They should let go of their political allegiance. They should no longer be a Democrat or a Republican. They should be the president. That when you take on that role, then in Congress, with your senators and your House members, they can be connected to your party, but the president ought to be one who doesn't have political commitments. That is free. I think it would make a world of difference in this country if when someone became the president of the United States, they became the president of everyone and didn't have to be fundraising, running commercials, and acting petty. Because elections are almost by definition petty. Because you're going to say, here's why it should be me, and here's why it shouldn't be that guy, and you're just going to be stirred up in that stuff all the time. What do you think? Am I on to something?
I do.
What's the downside here? What am I missing?
Well, I think the downside is, okay, like as an Enneagram 7, one of the things I hate to be is the feeling of being trapped in psychological pain.
Yes.
So could you imagine being stuck or trapped with a president for 6 years and not have that?
You think it's just the time's too long instead of 4 years? Because you're already stuck with the guy for 4 years, right?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that you would need at least 6 years to be able to do anything anyway. So I don't have a problem with the time, but I could see where people, people thinking too much damage can be done in that amount of time.
So 4 years isn't enough to really get something done, even though there's a chance that that's all you're going to have.
Right.
And 6 years is too long. Well, then what does that say about 8 years? If 6 years is too long, then 8 years has got to be completely too long. So the system now is under, it seems to me, is under whatever limitations my one-term suggestion is already. So it's either it's going to be too short if you don't win re-election, and it's going to be far too long if you do. Because that's the thing. I mean, we've all sensed this with the presidents when they win re-election. It's like, okay, we're kind of done with that guy. It's just been a long time. It's just it's the person can only do so much. So anyway, I think the most intense part of that is going to be asking the person to not be have a political allegiance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to, but I really do think that needs to happen. I think that's that's just got to change. We just can't be playing small ball anymore with the presidency. I mean, you can play small ball everywhere else, but the presidency ought to be the one elected position by which someone is not beholden to the system and structure that is meant to elect people all the way down to your your state legislatures. That system cannot support the small on the ground local political commitments, as well as the person who has to take on the responsibility of the presidency of the United States. So I think one term, no re-election, none of this campaigning business. It's so bad for the president to have to be out doing this, and no political allegiance once you become the president of the United States.
And I think probably a lot of presidents would be okay with 6 years.
Oh boy, I bet they'd be thrilled.
I bet Bush 2 would have been like, boy, I would have loved to have those last 2 years back.
I'd love to cut out early on that thing. Yeah. All right. Hey, we're going to be joined by Tony Jones here in a moment on the program. So calling Dr. Jones now. Dr. Jones is going to be our theologian around here on the radio program.